The H-Man.
The Lions, I think they're equity in offense. Their linemen are some of the best in the NFL right now. How do you handle such a balanced team that can run the football, that can run behind a good offensive line? They have the pocket protection. They've assembled a really good offensive unit. Ryan, it feels different upstairs. It feels different down to the field. It feels different with the players. But you know what I love the most? It all feels the same, though. You don't feel there's a disconnect.
And joining us now is number 84, an all-time Lions great, Herman Moore. Yeah!
The H-Man.
Herman.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
You, baby. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
First, before we talk about the Lions, I got to ask you this, and I'm sorry to hit you. I don't want to get you in trouble or anything, but I tweeted about this the other night. I have such a hard time seeing number 84 on another Lions player.
Yeah, I do as well.
I just am. And to that fact, I have a hard time seeing 4 on another Lions player. And I understand Jason Hanson's a kicker, but I mean, does it bother you? How do you feel about it? Let me phrase it like that. How do you feel about seeing number 84 out there in a Lions uniform?
Oh, at this point, it doesn't matter, because if it was going to be retired, it would have been retired a long time ago. I look at guys like Charlie Sanders. I look at Jason Hanson, Lomas Brown, just some of the guys that are Hall of Fame worthy, and that at some point when you think about Lion legends, you want to show them that it goes beyond just their days on the field. It is something to do with that jersey being retired, but it is. You got to give numbers to players. It used to bother me, I think, early on in my career, but now it really doesn't.
Well, it still bothers me, Herman, for what it's worth.
Doesn't look right. It just doesn't look.
I will say that it doesn't look right when I see players who have that on. I think Bill Schrader.
That's right. He did wear 84.
First. And then I think Brandon Pettigrew, McDonald, Royal, and some others. I mean, I think I've kind of gone down that list a little bit.
Oh, man. Either way,
we
neither here nor there.
We still know who number 84 is.
Yeah, we all do.
H-Man.
And that's what matters.
Hey, it's on your Twitter line, right?
H-Man 84, that's
H-Man
right.
84.
Hey, you're going to always see the 84. Now, I got a couple of nicknames that I'm going to be bringing out this year. Now, I'm not going to reveal them just yet, but I'm going to have to come back on the show when it's time for me to reveal those.
You got an invite any day of the week. Herman, let's start with the wide receivers right off the bat. Jameson Williams goes on PUP today. He's going to miss the first 4 games of the season. We pretty much knew that. How early can a guy like Jameson Williams, do you think it's going to take for him to get acclimated? It's going to be a month into the season. He's going to have missed training camp. What are reasonable expectations, do you think, that should Lions fans place on this youngster?
Well, one is just having them come in and be able to actually work at the level of the NFL. People think that there's this natural, even if you come out of the SEC or you come out of these big conferences, it's an easy crossover. But in the skill position, it takes a little bit of time. I think also the body has to catch up. He hasn't had that physical endurance. He hasn't had to go out and have the physical contact that he's going to be basically thrusted into. So I look at, if I had to guess, I would say near the latter part of the year, if he stays healthy during that entire tenure, that he could start to really come on. Could it be sooner? Yeah, he could catch fire, but I just wouldn't put any high expectations on him. So I don't think he needs the pressure. I think this is a very talented young player that's going to help continue to provide some significant depth to the wide receiver unit beyond what it has. So I would be very careful with how I bring him about.
The great Herman Moore joins us at HMan84 on Twitter. Great follow. And, of course, he's still with the Lions pregame, preseason, all of that. He's always a fixture at Ford Field if you want to get with him. I want to ask you about this receiver club themselves. Now, we talked about Tom Kennedy, number 85. What's your take on him, first of all? Would he make this team had Jameson Williams been healthy?
I think he would have been on the outside looking in. I always look at it like this. You're going to find guys that are going to shine in preseason. Really, it's about what do you as a coach take away from that in terms of moving a player up or down in a roster or justifying giving them a roster spot. I have no problem with if they decide to open it up. But you definitely want to make sure when you look across the roster itself that because you have so much depth at the wide receiver position, I still think it's tough to really justify that component. But you can make changes throughout the roster at any time. But Tom Kennedy's, he's shown some consistency. He's had some really big games. He's shown that he could become and be that possession style receiver. But it's preseason, and it's not to take anything away from him or from what he's accomplished during that time, but we all know how that works out.
Herman, episode 3 of Hard Knocks tonight. Have you been watching?
You know what? It comes on too late for me, man. I'm 52 years old. I go to bed early, so I cannot watch the highlights.
I'm sure you've seen clips and episodes in the past. Do you think we're getting an authentic view of these guys, or is it played up for the camera? Is it a television show?
Yeah, you know what? I think that it's definitely made for television. It's entertainment. But I also believe that if you look at the exposure that it gives this team, if you look at the charismatic coach that you get in Dan Campbell, and you have some very good characters within the locker room, I think it makes for good entertainment. It gives them a lift. It gives them something to look forward to going into training camp, but also coming into the season. I like it. For more than anything, Detroit has not been in that major media market, so it does a lot in terms of the exposure that it brings to the organization and also to these players and the fan base. Our fan base is phenomenal, as you know. So it's been great to see that.
Herman, you mentioned the coaches. What do you think it would feel like to be a player when you're coached by, Deuce Staley, Aaron Glenn, Dan Campbell,
Aubrey Pleasant, Hank Fraley,
Antoine Randall Allen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like former players galore. Do current players take more when the coaches have actually been in these spots?
They do, and I'll give you, while I can identify with that, Charlie Sanders. Many people don't remember that was my receivers coach.
Wow.
When I came in '91, they moved Charlie. He coached a little bit of the tight ends. Then he became a receivers coach. And when we got away from the run and shoot, and he was there pretty much during those years where you saw me really flourish, and the communication and all those things. Charlie was my coach, and also Raymond Berry. Many may not remember he came in for a short period of time. We had Jim Zorn, who was here for a brief time, and we had some players who were former players that stepped into those roles. And what I saw was the communication was excellent. The criticism was received in a whole different manner than a coach who had never really gone through it, and they're trying to tell you a lot of things, especially in critical, heated moments, and you just know the identification is not there. I mean, you can try and simulate it and say you coached all the players in the world, but unless you've been out there on the field, you really don't have that same identification and rapport that you will get with a player when you can say, hey, I understand completely what you're talking about.
Hey, Herman Moore joins us. A great number 84, great all-pro wide receiver with the Lions, and then finished with the Giants, the G-Men. I wanted to ask you about a couple of the players on this team. A guy like Craig Reynolds, I mean, he impresses the hell out of me. How hard it would be for him to break into this? Maybe, I don't know. I would think about starting this guy if DeAndre Swift isn't the guy I thought he was.
I like Craig Reynolds. I think he's shown some consistency. He runs really hard, and then he shows that you can also give him the ball. He can carry the load a little bit. I also, when you talk about the depth at the running back position, I will say this: the Lions, I think their equity in offense and their opportunity to become real potent at offense is going to come down to their efficiency and their ability to run the football. And I say that because that line, their linemen are some of the best in the NFL right now.
Right.
When they played it well, they played together. Their running game, when it goes, you can see when they make a commitment to it. And granted, it's again preseason, but if they commit to that and able to get that going, that's going to be really tough for teams to say, how do you handle such a balanced team that can run the football, that can run behind a good offensive line, they have the pocket protection, and now they have game playmakers on the outside. So it's turning out to be, I think, a very good, they've assembled a really good offensive unit that can create some problems.
Next week, I'm coming up on Sunday. They wrap up against Pittsburgh. your old man Charlie Batch's old team there back in the day. They're not going to play Jared Goff. The rest of the starters will play a half. Do you agree with that philosophy, setting out Goff? He's had one series so far in the preseason.
I do believe once players get to a certain level during their career, he's getting enough reps in practice. For those who don't understand, when you're there, it's the mental reps as you get to a certain component, a certain part of your career. Then the physical side is really important, I think, in the early part of your career to the middle. But then at this level, it's the mental component. It's being fresh. It's making sure you're mentally repping everything. You're looking at film, but going out and throwing a couple extra passes, giving a few other handouts, it's not going to give them any more other than the adrenaline rush that you get in a game. That's the only thing I can glean that they would get from a player, especially your starters playing that last preseason game.
Hey, Herman, last thing. This feels different to me. Does it feel different to you, these guys? Dan Campbell, Brett Holmes. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Ryan, it feels different upstairs. It feels different down to the field. It feels different with the players. But you know what I love the most? It all feels the same, though. You don't feel there's a disconnect when you start talking about those changing levels of the organization, from the administrative, being the football operations, down to the coaches, down to the players. I feel like they're one. And that's what's been a great thing to see. So I'm super excited about seeing what this team does. But, you still got to go out and you got to win. But that does not, keep me from going out and wishing them all the best and hoping that they have a successful campaign.
Amen to that. Hey, you got a hell of a great background there. Lions Nation Unite. Tell me about that.
It is, man.
And
sure. Yeah, we've been doing that and following you guys, and I appreciate the love that you guys are showing us. And we're continuing to grow our channel. This is really a fan-based platform, and they've really gravitated towards it, and we look forward to having a great upcoming 2022 season.
The great Herman Moore, we absolutely love you, H-Man. Thanks for doing this, and hope to talk to you again down the road, buddy.
See you, Herm.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
You got it. On Twitter, at HMan84, the one and only number 84 for the Detroit Lions. A lot to chew on there.